continent. The IMF boss was on an official working visit to Ghana, which is about to sign a new funding deal with the outgoing Nana Akufo-Addo administration.
Bottom of your report, these 125 countries that you surveyed, it's quite interesting that the countries that are most ready, the Singapores, the Denmarks, the USs, they obviously will face a bigger risk, but they are readier. And then the poorer countries who have a lower risk for their labor markets are not that ready. What are some of the country-specific things that have to be put in place to move a country into greater readiness?
We identified 4 areas where progress has to be made, and different countries are in a different place with regard to those areas. Number 1, digital infrastructure. Without it, it is very difficult to capture the of artificial intelligence. What we know is that digital infrastructure is more advanced in advanced economies. We know that in Africa, on average, access to the internet is still only 50% of the population. Some countries do better, but some countries do worse. Second, and B, is the key for success: investment in human capital and in flexible, adaptable labor markets. When we look at countries that have strong, dynamic, agile labor markets and investment not in mechanical learning, but in learning to learn, ability to shift from one task to another, the Denmarks of this world, the Singapores of this world, they're better prepared. 3, innovation and how it fits into entrepreneurship. You can have research and development, but not feeding into the dynamism of the economy. And 4th, regulation and ethics. And what is so interesting to me is when we did our assessment of preparedness, the United States, that is way ahead in terms of advancing artificial intelligence, the so-called Magnificent Seven, the 7 companies that dominate are all in the United States, they did not come up as number 1 in this index. It was Singapore, followed by Denmark. What is in the United States still not quite there? It is actually human capital universally prepared for it, and then, of course, regulation and ethics.
What have we been doing in the past 8 years, 7 years to prepare ourselves for the onslaught, which is staring us in the face? As you've indicated, digital infrastructure has been big on our agenda, and with the help of our development partners, particularly the World Bank, we've done a lot towards putting in place the critical underpinnings for our digital economy. It's important that we put in place our national ID system. We've done that. We needed a proper addressing system. We've put that in place. We needed to focus on digital financial services and in financial inclusion, and we've worked a lot. We've done a lot towards doing that as well. But absolutely critical to all of that, all these systems would have to work right on the infrastructure underpinning all of that. That's connectivity. And so we've worked with the private sector to extend the network of fiber infrastructure that we have in place. So I see what has happened in the past few days as a bit of a blessing in disguise to focus our attention on the need to invest even more in providing connectivity to all parts of the continent and our country, because it can help us leapfrog. And this is not just a cliche. We did that with banking when we didn't put in place the normal banking infrastructure but moved towards mobile banking. We've done that in a few other areas. And we can use digital infrastructure to transform the economies of the continent if we invest in putting them in place. We've put in place a government connectivity network with the support of the World Bank, which is nationwide. We intend to layer on that and the infrastructure that we already have in place. NITA has fiber. We have the Rural Telephony Program, which is extending connectivity to about 20%, 4 million of our populace across the country that are interconnected. We need to pull all these pieces together and layer on them a robust 4G, 5G network nationwide, which will ensure that all parts of our country, public, private sector, the private sector can also utilize that capacity to fill in the gaps where they are. And what we have learned is absolutely critical these past few days is that we need to build resilience in the connectivity infrastructure that we have in place and look at a mix. We haven't utilized satellite infrastructure or connectivity as much as we should have, largely because of the cost. It's expensive. And so we need to talk to the satellite service providers to see how they can utilize this technology to provide us with some kind of backbone connectivity infrastructure, which will enable us to reach all parts of our country quickly but affordably.
The LLMs are such a powerful tool that students who use them can use them to an extent where it actually disables learning because you have the machine doing the work for you. But for us, the way we look at it is we say to students there are different kinds of assignments that they're given. So there are going to be some assignments where they're not supposed to collaborate with anyone, not to use any agent, human or otherwise. And it's supposed to be individual work. And instructors are very clear about that because we want them to learn the fundamentals themselves. There will also be assignments where they are required actually to work with other agents. So for example, they might be given an assignment where it's a team effort. They're supposed to work with other humans on a project. They might be given assignments where they're supposed to use a machine intelligence as part of the project. And it's the thing that's interesting about this is I think for the first time when I talk about this question of whether to use technology or not, we've always thought of technology as just tools. And for the first time, I find myself using an analogy of teamwork with other humans to say that a machine might be a member of your team is a really sort of profound place to be. But it is a reality of the workplace now, that they're going to go out into industry and they're going to work with other people. They're going to work with machine intelligence to get things done faster and better. And it is our job to prepare them for that world.